If you want to make a ton of money washing roofs or you want to attempt to wash your own, this is the video for you. In this one, we're going to be going through every single facet of the roof cleaning process so that way you know exactly what to do and what to expect. Firstly, we're going to be going over everything you need to document before the job begins to ensure that you aren't held liable by the customer, as well as all the things that you need to do before the job begins to ensure that you don't cause the customer's property any damage. Secondly, we're going to be talking through the proper equipment and chemicals that you're going to need in order to perform the job the right way. We're also going to give you a play-by-play as we're cleaning the roof on the best practices, the things to look out for, and how to get the job done as efficiently as possible. We're then going to share a tool that's a secret weapon for our company and that gives ourselves a competitive advantage, and I'm going to show you how to quote a roof wash in less than 5 minutes. And if you stick around until the end, I'm also going to give you 4 unconventional ways to land tons of jobs just like this. So if that sounds good, hit the thumbs up button for me, and if you want more on-site training just like this, be sure to check out the How to Wash course. It'll be the first link in the comment section and the description. It's over 6 hours of in-field training going over everything you need to know, from the chemicals and how to mix them, property protection, how to clean every surface on a residential job site, as well as equipment walkthroughs and much, much more. So, but without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the video.
All right, you guys, in this video, we're going to be doing a roof wash. This is going to be everything you need to know in order to do roof washing, essentially. So we got Jacob with us. First things first, Jacob, rolling out the hoses. We got the water tank filling up. What else? We also put the drone in the sky. I don't know if you guys can see the drone right here.
The drone take before and after pictures with it. It's a lot easier to see than taking them with your phone. So if that's within your budget, definitely a good idea, especially for marketing and different things like that, because you can really see the difference a lot better than you can taking a picture from the ground with your phone.
Absolutely. So we want to roll through like some property protection, some pre-inspection things that we need to take a look at before we get this job going, and then we'll just jump right into it. You guys might see somebody hanging out over here with Kale. We're actually doing some in-person training. If you guys are interested in in-person training, I'll leave a link down below. Shoot us an email, let us know. That way you can come ride along with us on the truck, come to all the jobs for the day, and be able to ask questions, you know, one-on-one. So Jacob, now we're going to kind of walk through some pre-inspection things. These are things that you guys need to be keeping in mind on every single job that you're doing, especially with regards to roof washing. So I guess let's start at the front and kind of work our way around, huh?
Now, if you guys are interested in the tool that we use to document all these property pictures in, create pre-inspection forms that we can then send to the customer, as well as create all of our before and after pics in, then be sure to check out the 𝐃𝐨𝐽 app. I'll be sure to leave it in the comment section and the description of this video.
I'm gonna grab some tape because Kale did mention that there was an open outlet on this side, so kind of show y'all how we tape those up while we're doing a walk around. Whenever we show up to a job, first thing we look at is obviously the landscape in front of the house or around the roof. Being that we are going to be doing a roof wash, it is going to require a lot hotter mix than, like, say, a house wash would. So we're going to be mindful of the plants, all the landscape, and we're going to water everything, pre-wet everything before we actually start spraying chemical on the roof. That way the first thing that those plants soak up is water and not chemical that's running off the roof.
Right, so a good first step is to go ahead and take, you know, pictures of all of your landscaping. So in the event the homeowner says, hey, you killed my hydrangeas, we could say, no, we got a picture of them before and they were already dead. Now in this case, this would be a great upsell if you guys did landscaping or if you knew a landscaper, because obviously, you know, it doesn't look like they spent too much time on their landscaping.
Right.
Either way, we're going to document all the plants and all the vegetation around the property beforehand, so that way, you know, we don't get into trouble with the customer later on. Yeah. Basically, the pre-inspection and everything that we're going to be talking about here is to limit all of your liabilities around the property. This customer could also probably use an upsell for a house wash, because as you guys can see, some of the brick. So during the pre-inspection is a good time to take a look at anything that could potentially be an upsell.
If we were doing a house wash, there would be a lot more stuff that we would take note of. We're still going to take note of everything, but there's some things that you don't have to worry about as much, being that you're only going to be spraying on the roof. You're not actually going to be intentionally putting water on the house. So it's not going to be any direct spray to the actual house. So stuff like this window right here, being that there's a chunk of mortar hanging out of it, we don't know if that's properly sealed or not. From us just visualizing it, doesn't look properly sealed. So if we were doing a house wash, we might slap a piece of tape over that real quick, just so water doesn't run through that window. Being that we are washing the roof and the eaves are surpassing the window, then it's going to be running over the window and not on the window, so we don't really have to worry about it too much.
Jacob, I don't know if I've ever seen an outlet this bad before, but you guys check out this outlet right here. It's like all the way hanging out. So what kind of safety precautions are we going to take on that?
Yeah, it's out there. Might just kind of shove it back in there and then tape over the hole.
There we go, perfect.
If we were doing a house wash, we would definitely just stay away from it. We would still tape it up, obviously. We would just stay away from it. You know, we'd clean what we can around it, but we're not going to get close enough to actually cause any water damage or cause any electrical shortages or anything like that.
Usually outlets are a lot more inconspicuous than this. You guys can see on this one, like it's really hanging out of the wall here. It looks like the plate that was kind of covering it fell out as well. So like Jacob said, we're gonna go ahead and tape this thing up. We've only had a couple instances with regards to things going wrong with outlets. That's because we take the precaution on the front end of the job to make sure that we limit those liabilities. But we've had instances where we've gotten water in outlets that looked like they were covered, and they ended up not being covered as well as we thought. And so that's why we put into our terms and conditions that in the event that a covered outlet gets water into it, it's on the homeowner because the outlet is covered, you know, from what we can see. And so you just kind of have to have, you know, things like that in your terms and conditions to protect you. And in the event that you see something like this, obviously take the proper precautions with it. There's another upsell. If you know you happen to be an electrician by trade, you can go ahead and upsell fixing that up a little bit. Okay, sweet. So we're gonna keep making the rounds around the house. Obviously, we got some more vegetation here. It's always important to keep, you know, fruit trees in mind. Fruit trees are a big liability, especially on a roof wash, right, Jacob?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna be sure to water the hell out of this because for some reason things that people eat tend to die a lot faster. So walking around, like I said, mainly the thing that we're worried about is stuff like that outlet, of course. If that outlet did have a cover on it like this one, we wouldn't have taped it up. Even if it was uncovered, there's an outlet right here that is open because it has a meter plugged into it. We're not even really too worried about that one, just because the chemical is going to be running off the eave. Like I said, we're not going to be washing the house. So if we were washing the house, we're not able to unplug those meters. So we would just have to do our best to tape up around it and stay away from it whenever we are going around the house.
Also important, we're going to document this wire over here. Obviously, we don't know what it's hooked up to or anything else. So
probably like communications wire or something like that. The next thing I noticed is the metal roof right here that's up against the house. There will be chemical. It shouldn't be much chemical, being that it's on the corner of the this side of the roof. But any chemical that does run down on that metal, obviously we're going to wet that metal because we're not just going to let it sit there. Because you can rust the screws out and damage the actual metal or cause leaks or something like that if you do let it sit up there too long. Same thing with any kind of metal roof wash you do. You always want to make sure you wash that off. If that is galvanized, I can't really tell just from standing right here. But if that's not a painted metal, we're definitely going to want to wet that and wash all that chemical down because it will take the coating out of the galvalume if it does sit up there too long, being that it's going to be a hot mix.
all right, so now we're going to continue to make our way around the house. Jacob, what else do we need to look for?
So as you can see, Kale's started watering everything before we even put a drop of chemical. Haven't even loaded the pump up with chemical yet. Just so the first thing that those plants are getting is water, and it's still kind of cool outside. It's not cool, it's hot, but cooler than it will be in probably the next hour or two. So being that the hotter it is, the faster the water is going to dry up. So hit everything early, that way the plant's got time to soak in all that water real good. And then we'll load the pump up and actually get started on the roof. And while Kale's doing that, I'll do a walk around, as I'm doing now, of the house and the property, tape off any outlets, just like we've been doing, and then we'll get started on the roof.
Of course, we're going to take pictures of all these plants. I mean, we probably will even move some of these plants off a little bit.
That's a good point. If they're in pots, the safest thing you can do is just either back them onto the patio or just move them out completely. That way there's no chance of any chemical getting anywhere on them. You can still water them. If you set them out here in the yard, you can still water them just in case any overspray or the wind blows that way and gets on them or something like that. But 90% of the time, we'll push those back just so we don't have to worry about them. As far as this stuff goes, electrical panels and all that, like again, we're not going to be spraying on the house directly, so we will be mindful of it whenever we are spraying the roof. Chemical is going to run down this valley right here. It doesn't look like it's going to touch this too much, so it's not really a major concern. But again, we will make sure that we don't spray anything directly on any of these panels or electrical equipment.
Okay, sweet. So that's pretty much everything with regards to the pre-inspection, right, Jacob?
Pretty much. I would say the last thing that we will keep in mind whenever we are spraying this side of the roof is overspray that could possibly come under here. This is just a screened in shed area, so chemical can get in here, overspray and stuff like that, mist or anything like that. Just kind of make sure, do a quick little peek, make sure there's nothing in here that can't get any mist or anything at all on it. There's not really anything. other than some wood and stuff like that, but it won't be enough to really damage anything if any mist does get in there. So I would say that's the last thing that we need to be cautious of while we're spraying this side of the roof. And other than that, should be good. We're gonna wet this metal roof as we're spraying this side and that other side over there, and should be good to go.
All right, guys, so we did our pre-inspection. Last thing is I want to take a look at the equipment that you're going to need in order to, do a roof wash. Obviously, we're going to have a little bit of a better setup because we've been doing it for longer. However, Jacob, can you walk through a couple of things that they're going to need, maybe with regards to the chemical, the equipment, and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say a better setup because there's definitely a lot better ones out there. And if you got a budget, if you're starting with some money, then there's some things that we could definitely upgrade. And this is a great pump, but this is a 11 gallon a minute roof pump, as a lot of people call it, gas pump, roof pump, whatever you want to call it, AR45. This is 5 to 5.5 gallon a minute pressure washer that we have pulling from a buffer tank.
And that's mostly going to be to water everything. Obviously, this is going to be to put the chemical on the property. You have your chemical tank, obviously blend manifold. Jacob, you want to walk through kind of what the chemical mix is going to be on this particular roof?
Yeah, so blend manifold for AR45, you have to upgrade to 3/4. You can run 3/4 through a 12-volt system. We used to run 1/2 inch. Being that we upgraded to AR45, we upgraded everything to 3/4. That way you're not starving the pump whenever it is pulling chemical or water, whatever it is pulling through it. For this particular roof wash, we're going to be cutting our chemical, but probably cut it back to around a 4.5 or a 5. And then a lot of times with these AR45s, you do have to cut your water back as well to be able to create that suction for your chemical. That way you're not just drawing water through it. So chemical at about a 4.5 or a 5, and then we cut our water valve back to around a 5 to a 7. And then for our surfactant, put it at about a 0.5 or sometimes a little higher, depending on how much surfactant we're going to need to actually be able to get it to cling to the shingle.
Absolutely. A couple things to consider if you guys are brand new. This is obviously, commercial grade bleach, industrial grade bleach, so it's going to be 12%. So keep that in mind. If you're buying jugs, it's going to be a little bit less, especially with how long it's sat on the shelf. The other thing, Jacob, is the surfactant. What kind of surfactant are you guys using?
So right now, or actually since we've actually had the skid, we just poke a hole in the top of our 5-gallon bucket that we buy. So whenever we do buy a new bucket or surfactant, we'll just dump surfactant in the existing bucket that we already have on the skid, because you do have to add water to your surfactant. Don't run it straight because there's definitely no need to. It's a very thick soap. Dump what we need in the bucket for that job, or just, in general, whenever we do buy more surfactant. We only use surfactant on roof washes. We don't use them on house washes or concrete or anything like that, being that it is so thick. And if you do spray it on, in this case, tan vinyl that they have on the house, then it will leave white spots all around the house if you do not rinse it off good enough. We have dealt with that in the past, and you still can't, after it dries, you can't just go back and rinse it off. You actually have to go wipe every single white dot to get it off. So we don't risk running surfactant on any house washes. Concrete, it's not going to do anything with surfactant. The only benefit with surfactant is on roof washes, in our opinion, and that's just to get it to cling to the shingle to where it's not just running directly off the roof.
Excellent. So you guys are going to need some type of chemical applicator, whether it be a roof wash pump or whatever that might be. You're going to need SH, obviously, water tank, pressure washer, so that way you can make sure you keep everything watered, surfactant, so that way you can make sure that the chemical that you're spraying on the roof actually sticks to it. And I think that's about it, right, Jacob, besides, the proportioner?
Yeah, and you can do a roof wash without a pressure washer if you are running, if you're batch mixing, or if you have a blend manifold or something like that. You don't necessarily have to have a pressure washer. It's a lot easier to water plants than having to worry about stretching out a hose pipe and getting a nozzle and different things like that. Being that we do have a ball valve on the end of it, you're able to crack the ball valve enough to where you're not going to damage any plants in the watering process, and you're able to put water on the plants without dealing with hose pipes or anything like that.
Absolutely. And when we first started, we were using this setup over here, batch mixing, doing the whole thing, which was kind of a nightmare between house washes and roof washes and figuring out what the mix was. So I'll be sure to put a mix calculator down below this video within 𝐃𝐨𝐽, so if you guys need to figure out your mixes, we can do it nice and easy. All right, Kel, so tell me what you see. Tell me how you like to approach the roof, you know what I mean?
I like to fan a lot of it. Feel like I can get a good coat on it, but also kind of conserve where you're not oversaturating the roof and wasting your chemical. I like to try to fan. I'll start from the bottom sometimes, and I'll switch it up. sometimes the one way gets old.
As far as PPE, Kale, you know, everybody really should have some glasses on while they're cleaning roofs.
Probably.
You don't believe in that though, right?
I mean, I believe in it for other people, but like a seasoned veteran like myself, you know, no, I'm just kidding. Everybody should wear PPE. It's just when they fog up, when it's so hot and humid down here and they fog up, I mean, I feel like it hinders me from doing my job more than it does helps me, so.
Okay, Kale, so there's no specific pattern with regards to how we're cleaning it. You said sometimes you start from the bottom and work your way up, obviously.
Yeah, I'll fan the bottom just to get as far up on the shingle or up on the pitch as I can. And what the fan can't hit, we'll swap over to a stream tip and we'll jet it up there, stream it up to the top. Coat it just enough where you don't have a lot of runoff. You don't want runoff, but where it's kind of meeting where you stopped with your fan pattern.
And then once we've kind of done that first coat on the roof, right now we're just kind of laying eyes on it, see how it's activating. What are things that we're looking for on that, Kale?
Looking for areas that are kind of drying out. You know, the sun is beating down on it. The sun helps with the chemical reaction, but areas on the roof that are drying out and looking like they're not wet anymore, you can kind of touch them up, hit them again. But really just we lay it down and let it sit and react, and we'll come back in about 15-20 minutes to check for hot spots. And it also depends on the strength of your bleach. Wherever you're getting your bleach from, if you got good strong bleach just came off the truck, or if, you know, if it's been on a shelf or in a tank exposed to sunlight for a long time, it kind of all plays a factor in it.
Absolutely. So what Kale's referring to is the dwell time. Kale, you said about 10-15 minutes on dwell time, so we can kind of see where those hot spots are and we can go back and treat those.
And I didn't lay down, about 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes. Sometimes it's a preference thing. Like, we don't like to rush through a job, but we're not going to sit here and wait an hour. Like, within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you should be able to tell if something's reacting and cleaning or not. And while we're waiting on the dwell time, you're not going to sit here and babysit one panel of this roof. You're going to spray the roof. We got another man, if you have another man on the ground, able to kind of treat water all the grass and the plants and stuff. It is good because you can go ahead and get ahead of them. Once you did your initial watering, you can get ahead and you'll work the whole roof instead of just sitting here watching one panel, retreating it, watching it, and making sure every individual panel is cleaning up. You can always come back to it.
One other thing to keep in mind, guys, is just the weather outside, because that will, you know, affect how the bleach is activating. We've been in instances where in colder weather the bleach isn't activating as well, and so, you know, we either have to up the mix, or we'll have to have more dwell time, or we'll have to, you know, treat it more than once. So Kale, I mean, you know, as far as ideal conditions go for treating roofs, what would you say? Hot is better?
I think warmer weather for us, it's always worked better. Something exposed to the sunlight, and yeah. We've had some issues when we're in the shades, in the house with a lot of trees. It's a little bit harder to get it to react and clean. That's just from our experience. I don't know why, like I recoated this, but for some reason it's only been, you know, 5-10 minutes. It's still got a wet look. It got some dry spots.
Okay, let's talk a little bit through ladder versus no ladder. Why you guys kind of choose to use a ladder in some scenarios?
The ladder, I have a preference. You know, I prefer the ladder, so I'm not working everything from the ground. Working from the ground, you're gonna have to keep it on that jet tip and lobbing it up there, trying to, and you know, if you're not using enough surfactant, you're either gonna blow through your surfactant using too much of it, or you're gonna blow through a lot of chemical on that jet. So we like to fan and get a good even coat on it, on the bottoms, and then jet what we can't reach with the fan. So we don't like to have to get on a roof, climb all over somebody's roof, especially a pitch like this. It's not smart, it's not safe. So if you can work everything from the ground, it's the best way to do it. We just prefer to fan it to try to conserve on chemical and get a good application down. And then we switch over to our plan B, which is the jet, to get it up there high.
Now, Kale, what would you say is a good sign that they're using enough surfactant? You know, like on here, you can kind of see it sudsing up a little bit as you're spraying it on there. Is that a good sign that, you know, we have enough surfactant in there to kind of hold it up?
Yeah, so we're actually running today. We're running very, very light, if any, surfactant. We're kind of trying something that we're going to probably talk about in a later video in regards to surfactant, whether it's needed or not, or how much you can get away with not using it. So, but we're not running too much on this job. We normally try to, you know, put a good surfactant mix in there, something that's high foaming, and it clings to the shingles. That way you do have that dwell time. You know it's up there, it's working, and you're not getting a lot of runoff onto people's landscaping and their yards, and you get calls back and complaints having to pay for somebody's property. It's starting to clean up, like on the second go round, like treatments. I'm just trying not to douse it too much, because the little bit of drips isn't bad. It's all dripping in one area. A lot of times in them valleys, if you soak them too much, they'll be shooting out of them valleys in the corners like 4 feet out in the yard. The ladder also helps with being able to kind of see, like we have a drone, so sometimes we'll throw the drone up. Due to the sunlight hitting, like the glare from the sun hitting the SH, it's hard to tell where your hot spots are. If you don't have a drone to put up and kind of look for hot spots, then we like to get on the ladder because it gives you more elevation to kind of get above that sunlight glaring off. Also some glasses might help, but you're able to kind of see where your hot spots are now versus if you're on the ground, so a little harder. Oh yeah, to talk about glasses.
Oh, my bad, bro.
I'm right by this AC unit and I'm getting nothing but mist in my eyes. Sir, turn your AC off for a second. This panel seems to be cleaning up pretty good.
Kale, what's a good sign that our bleach is actually activating and actually starting to clean the roof?
You'll see the dark spots, the 𝐋𝐨𝐜𝐚𝐥 starting to disappear, and it'll start to turn like the original shingle color underneath. Also, we've seen where when we do use a good surfactant and stuff, and we know our bleach is reacting, it's kind of foams over in areas. Not as soon as it hits, but 30 seconds to a minute after, it'll start to foam over, and you can almost watch it disappear. Like watch all the algae and stuff disappear off of the roof as it's cleaning. I mean, we were here 3 to 5 minutes ago, and it was pretty bad, and we hit it with a second treatment, and it's all starting to disappear. So we'll let it sit, work the rest of the house, and we'll come back for it.
So Kale, what's the benefits of having a drone?
You're able to take great before and after pictures, and you can also look at the house for hot spots. So it's a little bit hard to see in the shade, but you can see that some of this is still dark in here. Some of it's still wet, so it's going to look a little, look like some hot spots, but it's probably not. But you can obviously see on the front and on the side here. It's definitely going to need more treatment here. All the tops are clean pretty much, except for over here.
So the drone is the secret weapon of the roof wash.
I say if you got the money, definitely get one. It takes good before and after pictures. We've noticed that it definitely impresses customers when you break out the drone and they're able to look at something. They kind of feel you're more professional, more advanced, and they didn't really think it could be a tool that would be used for soft wash and pressure washing. So it's a conversation piece.
Jacob, what do you call this move right here?
I don't know. It's not easy.
That's how you work smarter, not harder.
Oh, you definitely work harder doing that.
All right, Jacob, so we went ahead and finished up the roof. Obviously, we're getting everything packed up, put on the truck. Couple things. First and foremost, how do we think the job turned out?
Roof came out great. It did take a little longer than usual, just because we were kind of trying some things out with different mixtures. It didn't look as bad as it was whenever we got here. Whenever we put the drone up, as y'all saw in the beginning of the video, whenever everything was dry, it didn't look too terribly bad. And then as it started getting wet, we started spraying chemical and started cleaning up in certain areas. You could definitely tell it was a lot worse than what we thought. Took a few extra coats. We ended up turning the chemical up a little bit hotter of a mix. And once we did that and coated it a second time, it cleaned up a lot faster and a lot better.
As far as setting customer expectations, what are the things that we like to communicate with the customer on the front end to let them know, hey, we're not going to give you a brand new roof, but it's going to look a lot better than what it currently does?
Yeah, so whenever I came and looked at this job, if you do go look at the job in person, then you can let them know then. If not, you can let them know that day. A lot of times these residential jobs, we do quote them remotely on 𝐾𝐨𝐿 and just send it over to the customer. So this particular job I did ride out to look at the roof because the customer had some questions.
We typically price all of our roof cleaning jobs through 𝐾𝐨𝐿, as Jacob mentioned. So I'm going to show you in less than like 2 minutes how you can quote roof cleaning jobs super fast. So let's jump right into it. First things first, we're going to create an estimate. I'm going to come down here, create a new estimate. I'm going to select my customer's name, who in this case happens to be Big Mike. We're then going to click in to create Big Mike's estimate. I'm then going to come in here, select pressure washing as my service. We're going to scroll down until we see roof washing. And then as far as what you should charge as a square footage price on all your houses, really depends upon a couple different variables: where you're located, how much lead flow you have, how much competition there is, how much you want to land the job, all these different things, right? But a good rule of thumb is anywhere between about 18 cents and 25 cents is going to be good, especially for our area. So we're somewhere right in between there, sometimes 21, sometimes 23. We usually kind of lean towards the higher end. But once you have your rate, which in this case is 21 cents, we're then going to click the map icon, which is going to bring us right into the property. And then I'm going to show you guys how you can do this. So we're then going to measure this property using our map measure tool, and it's going to calculate all of the square footage. I just picked this property because super easy to measure, obviously. Some roofs are a little bit harder, some roofs are easier, just depends. But what it's going to do is going to give us the square footage, right? Now, let's say that for whatever reason they had a detached garage or they had another, roof that you needed to quote. All you have to do is just click on another roof and create another box, and it's just going to add that to the total of the square footage, and we're going to be able to continue on. So I'll then click save to estimate. It's going to calculate all that square footage and multiply it times our square footage price to go ahead and give us what our estimate is going to be. So in this case, it would be $2,236.83. And then I get to make the judgment on, okay, well, I'd like to kind of be somewhere closer to 1975 on this. Or whatever the case may be. So that's what we're going to charge. You can then click through. On here, you can add footer, you can add terms and conditions, you can add photos, whatever you want to do. We're going to click proceed. This is what our estimate looks like, and then all I have to do is ship it over to the customer. So super easy. This is how you quote in less than just a couple minutes using Quote IQ, which I'll have linked in the comment section description if you guys want to check it out.
And I just let him know whenever I was here, if there's any tan spots or white streaks after we finish up, the rain will take care of all that. We're not going to rinse the whole roof off, because not only we're double working, all that chemical is still sitting up there working and reacting on the roof, cleaning everything. So those tan spots may even lighten up more before the rain, but if you do rinse it, then all that chemical that you did put up there is just running off the roof, and then you have to further protect plants and different things like that.
Right, so one of the things to keep in mind, guys, there's a saying that says if it's brown, it'll wash down, and if it's black, then the customer's gonna call you back. So always be cognizant as you're making those rounds to kind of look for those black spots, because you need to re-hit those. And then the brown spots, of course, is something that we let the customer know beforehand. Hey, these will wash down with the rain. And just like Jacob said, that SH is gonna turn into pretty much salts, and they're gonna rinse down. So when it rinses down, it's going to be a lot less potent as opposed to when we put it up there. So one of the last things we always let customers know is give it a couple days. After a rain or two, their roof is going to look brand new. And in the event that anything's messed up, they can give us a call back. One other thing is, sometimes people guarantee roofs. Jacob, is that something that we do within our selling to kind of, sway customers?
No, so that actually happened with this customer. He called me and said that a company had told him they guarantee 5-year protection to his roof. I said, we can't guarantee anything, just because of where we live at, all the humidity and everything, and obviously shade on the roof is going to cause quicker algae buildup. So somebody actually mentioned to this customer that they can guarantee a 5-year, clean roof after they did it. And I told him I would say maybe 3 to 5 years, but I'm not going to say for sure, 5 years right after we clean it, just because you never know.
Right, so anytime you're guaranteeing anything, obviously that's a hard place to be, but for the most part, the roof should maintain its current level of cleanliness for a good period of time. And that's always things to communicate with the customer, because obviously we want that communication on the front end so that there's not questions and calling us back and the whole deal afterwards.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a house. You're not going to have to do it every single year. It will take a few years for that algae to actually start growing back on the shingles.
Excellent. Last thing to keep in mind is all the upsells. Obviously, like we said, house wash is a good upsell. If you wanted to offer a landscaping service, then that could be another thing that you upsell. Jacob, did we upsell him on any of this stuff? Driveway, of course, right?
No, he was kind of stuck on getting the roof done and stuff like that. He had a couple of shingles missing, so we're going to recommend a roofing company to him to maybe come out and replace those shingles. We're not covered under insurance to do stuff like that, so I told him not that we don't trust the customer, but we're not going to take that risk just because we're a wash company. So we are going to recommend a roofing company come out here and patch his roof in that one spot. We were cautious of that area whenever we were spraying the roof, because you never know how weak those shingles are that are underneath the ones that are missing or anything like that. So
Now, since you stuck around to the end, I'm going to give you 4 ways that you can land a ton of roof cleaning jobs just like this one. And they're unconventional methods that I don't think a lot of people are really taking advantage of. The first one being insurance companies and insurance salesmen. Now, if you guys don't know this, home insurance companies are actually taking away coverage from homes where the roofs don't qualify for them. So if the roof is dirty enough, the home insurance company can technically say, hey, we're not going to insure your home anymore. And we've been getting a lot of calls recently from people that say that their home insurance company threatened to take away their policy in the event that they don't get their roof cleaned. So if you want to get ahead of this, if you want to get a ton of jobs, reach out to home insurance companies, reach out to salesmen that sell home insurance and say, hey, is there any way that, we can kind of team up and you guys can refer me out to some of these jobs in the event that their home doesn't meet the proper specifications for how clean their roof needs to be. So that's my first one, home insurance companies and home insurance salesmen, because obviously the salesmen want to keep their people insured and the companies probably want to as well. So the next one is real estate agents. Now this one's a little bit tricky. You really need to incentivize real estate agents to go out there and sell for you. But if you say, hey, on every roof wash that you get me, I will give you 10% returned commission to yourself, you're going to be able to incentivize real estate agents that are actively meeting with homeowners, selling homes, meeting with buyers of homes, and you're going to be able to get your foot in the door with people that you might not ever be able to meet before. And these real estate agents will be able to sell on your behalf. So real estate agents are a great way to go. They're always dealing with buyers, sellers, and people who own homes. So they can then sell your services for you in exchange for a small commission. And I highly recommend you guys give the commission. So that way they're super incentivized, because the only other way that real estate agents make money is selling a house. And some house sales can take months, if not years, in order to be completed. So if you're going to incentivize them with money quicker, then they're going to sell for you and they're going to do a good job. The next people that you need to reach out to in order to help you sell more roofs is home inspectors. Now, real estate agents talk to the people who are buying properties and people who are selling properties. The home inspectors are the ones that actually go out and do the inspection for the people that are buying and selling property. So kind of two in the same, right? But home inspectors can actually make recommendations to, buyers and sellers on what they think their property needs before the sale even takes place. So if you meet up with home inspectors and you say, hey, I'll give you a percentage, they're always looking at homes every single day. I know home inspectors that do 5, 6, 7 home inspections a day, writing up the forms, talking to the real estate agents, talking to the homeowners. So if you want a way to get in front of a lot of people who either own homes or are buying homes, whatever the case may be, talk to home inspectors as well. Same deal with real estate agents. Offer them a commission if they are to land you any jobs, and that way it'll incentivize them to actually sell on your behalf. The last one, same deal, okay? Roofing companies. Roofing companies, their number one moneymaker is obviously to take the roof off and put a new roof on. However, in some instances, not everybody needs a brand new roof. However, what are they doing? Every single day, they're on top of people's roofs. They're looking at them. They're recommending things. And so in that event, if a customer doesn't need a new roof, they could get a percentage of money if they recommended your company to come clean it. So all of these things are basically working with people who correspond with homeowners in order to get them to sell your stuff for you. If you're able to incentivize other people to sell your stuff for you, you're going to make way more money that way, because you're not actually having to spend any money to acquire that customer, and you're able to get in front of way more people that you probably wouldn't have been able to otherwise. The only money that you're losing is obviously the referral fee, but all you have to do is just bump the price of your cleanings a little bit in order to cover that. One more tip for you guys. A lot of people don't get their roofs cleaned because they're not educated on the fact that this service even exists or why they need to get it done. So if you guys want to run ads, like a Facebook ad out, and kind of educate people on why they need to get this done and why they should choose your company to do it, I highly recommend doing that. If you guys want a cheat code for your Facebook ads, be sure to check out qiqads.com. I'll leave it linked in the comment section description. I actually did a free training on how one ad landed us over $13,000 in jobs in just 1 month. And I broke it down for you so that way you can copy and paste my strategy and get it to work for you. But I really appreciate you guys for watching this far in the video. If you made it this far in the video, comment down below your favorite food, and we're going to kind of confuse a lot of people that jump into this video. If you do that, I will hashtag your real one. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, hustle hard and get that money, baby. Peace.